Hello and welcome to the Beefy Tech channel. Today's video is geared towards you, the Modern Warfare and Warzone lovers, as it shows how many frames you could get for yourself with the right PC build and settings. I recently tried getting a 7900 XTX graphics card and placed a pre-order for $1350 only to have my pre-order cancelled 9 days into waiting, and to be told no further stock would be available. I was rightfully upset, as I wanted to make videos on the 7900 XTX and also get to enjoy its well-known performance in Warzone compared to its competitors. But I think I have found the next best thing, and not only that, but for much cheaper than a 7900 XTX, and in fact much cheaper than a single RTX 4090, while also offering 240 frames in Warzone at 1440p native. And not only that, but up to 400 frames in multiplayer with the right settings. The GPU I've been referring to is the 6950 XT, and I've got mine paired with a 5800X3D and a DDR4 CL14 3800 MHz kit. And I do want to say that due to Warzone CPU bottleneck issues, the 6950 XT and the 4090 will generally perform the same, but the 4090 is theoretically faster. Obviously, of course. But the 6950 XT will offer the same performance and cost less in Warzone. Not only that, it will give you extremely high FPS in multiplayer with no CPU bottleneck in sight. If you haven't already guessed, the gameplay in the background is my girlfriend playing at the moment, and as you can see, the frame rate is through the roof, obviously in a part of the map that is significantly less demanding to the CPU than others. What you'll notice here is that my GPU time is equal or the slightly lower most of the time than the CPU, but as long as it's equal, there's no CPU bottleneck and the GPU can soar to its highest FPS. You will see situations though across the map in Warzone where the CPU time will be 5 or 6 even, and in that situation the frames may be around 200 even on the 6950 XT as a result of the 5800 X3D being too slow for Warzone at some times. But on that note, I do have to mention the 5800 X3D is currently a $300 CPU, and for the money I do not think you can possibly get a better pairing than fast RAM, DDR4 mind you, with the 5800 X3D and the 6950 XT for Warzone, as you can easily drive your 240Hz monitor for a PC build that will indeed cost less than a 4090. Anyway, now that you have seen some Warzone footage, I want to show you multiplayer, because there is definitely a lot of Modern Warfare multiplayer guys that want the highest possible frame rate and might have an AMD GPU, so I could give you some advice on how to get the maximum frame rate out of your graphics card. Alright, hello and welcome to multiplayer. So, what you're seeing now is not native resolution, if you're wondering. I'm currently running 1440p with AMD FSR set to quality and AMD's sharpening set to 90%. And you might be wondering, why am I even showing this to begin with? Well, firstly, because you have to restart the game to apply AMD's sharpening tool, and secondly, because look at that frame rate. This is a 1440p game, currently running 380 to 390 FPS. Now check this out, I'm gonna be running around and just see it never really dip below 350 and sometimes even go up to 400, especially if you go inside this building. Alright, welcome back. Now I'm going to be showing native resolution. The reason I wanted to first show the AMD FSR version is to demonstrate roughly what the difference in frame rate would be. As a fair note, I'm currently recording using the desktop recording feature, which might have a bit less quality than the actual game recording feature from what I've noticed. I also seem to be getting a bit more frame rate than I would normally be getting on native by about 15-ish FPS, but that is perfectly fine, it's not really problematic. I just wanted to show you guys the settings for native recording too. I'm in full screen borderless, all this is an auto, it's easier to record in full screen borderless. And as you can see, it's native 1440p with fidelity cast set to 60. The previous version was AMD FSR 1.0 set to quality, with AMD's settings turned on to the quality sharpening thing. Alright, these are the results for the benchmark. I wanted to do this test just so you guys have something to compare to. There will be 4090s out there, for example, with 3900K that could probably do better under max overclock, but this entire computer costs less than a 4090, so you have to keep that in mind. My personal recommendation is if you're on a slight budget, and by that I mean $2,000-ish, $1,500 to $2,000, get a 6900 XT or a 6950 XT, and you're in business. It can run this game beautifully, and it will compete with a 4090 because there's CPU bottlenecks in the game after all. Regardless, I'll also show the results of the AMD FSR plus sharpening, but with just a screenshot rather than a video. Alright, now that I've demonstrated the FPS in Call of Duty, I would just like to quickly show you guys how to actually enable the AMD sharpening tool, because I did show how to enable the AMD FSR. So you're going to go to your settings in the top right hand corner in the AMD software, then go to graphics and click Radeon image sharpening, enable and set it to 90. The reason I recommend setting it to 90 is because indeed FSR set to quality does degrade the visual clarity, but this will fix most of that. AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution is essentially a sharpening filter, but built into the game. So that's why for native, I recommend the sharpening filter built into the game. And if you're running AMD FSR, use the Radeon image sharpening from the app itself. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I highly recommend you go look for an AMD GPU if you are into Call of Duty. Thank you, subscribe, like, and I'll see you next time.